Now, for those of you that are interested in this particular topic of Vajrapani, with reference to the Nyingma tradition and the revealed treasure traditions of Nyingma that deal with Vajrapani, I did a quick survey on the HAR website and created a page. And the page contains 9 paintings. I didn't bother with the sculpture because it's so difficult to know what is a Nyingma sculpture and what is a Sarma sculpture. But on the HAR website, what we've done is we've come up with 9 examples of paintings. Now, there's 2 ways that we've looked at identifying Nyingma versions of Vajrapani, and the first is by context, where you have a Vajrapani who could be similar to a standard one-faced, two-armed Vajrapani from the Sarma tradition. But here we're looking at context. So we're looking at whether or not seems to be a complete lineage or most of a lineage surrounding a Vajrapani. And then if we have Kuntazangpo or we have Padmasambhava at the top. So that would kind of contextualize it and confirm it to be related to the Nyingma tradition, whether or not it is Kama, oral tradition, or whether or not it is revealed treasure, that's another matter, and we would have to apply some different techniques to really look at that and see. But we have 3 main types here. We have one-faced, two-armed solitary, we have one-faced, two-armed with consort, and then we have a 3-faced, 6-armed. So these are the main types. Now, we also have to look at, there are forms of Vajrapani that are identical to the Sarma, and they come from the same tantras, like the Nilambara Dara, also known as the Drozang Luk, or the Drozang was the name of a teacher. But the blue clad or the blue caped Vajrapani, one-faced, two-armed. In the Sakya tradition, this is the second most popular, or possibly the first most popular. Sometimes it's even called the Sakya tradition, Nilambara Vajrapani. The second one, of course, is the four-faced, the Buddhadhamara, which comes out of the Buddhadhamara Charya Tantra, but it also comes out of the Hevajra cycle of Tantras and is related to the Hevajra practices. Okay, aside from that, so we have to look at several different subjects when analyzing Vajrapani of the Nyingma tradition. We have to look at whether something is Nyingma Kama and Nyingma Kama shared with Sarma, or Nyingma Kama and independent of Sarma and unique to the Tibetan Nyingma Kama oral tradition. Then we have to look at the revealed treasure tradition. Now, the revealed treasure tradition, of course, really starts with I'm not a purist, so I would say it starts with Nyangro Nima Oser and Guru Chowong is when we really begin to see revealed treasure appearing and continuing. Now, we also can find forms of, or at least one form of Vajrapani with a retinue surrounding him within the northern treasure tradition. That's the Jung Ter that's coming out of Dorje Drak monastery. So Dorje Drak used to be just a few miles west of Mindrolling Monastery. Now, Fifth Dalai Lama had it completely rebuilt, and he moved it farther west, more towards the opposite side of the river, north side of the river, but opposite side of the river from Mindrolling. Anyway, Dorje Drak and the Northern Treasure tradition of Terma, they appear to have at least one major form of Vajrapani. Then I believe we can also find Vajrapani within the Mindrolling tradition, but I have not identified an example. I've seen line drawings, but I have not identified a painted example, so I will have to look a little bit deeper into that to find some Mindrolling examples, possibly as secondary deities in some paintings that we already have on the HAR website with the Mindrolling section. Then we have to be aware of the Sidar Raji tradition, and that's going down to Tipu Pandita. And Tipu Pandita is the teacher that gave some forms of Vajrapani to Rechungpa, and Rechungpa brought back to Tibet and subsequently gave the initiations also to Milarepa. And Rechungpa also gave teachings to the first Karmapa and to Pakmo Drupa. So that's how those traditions would have come in. Now, the reason I bring up Tipu Pandita and Rechungpa is because just in looking at the Tibetan, I have seen some similarities in language between the Siddha Rajnyi Tipu Pandita traditions and the later revealed treasure traditions. Then we have, just as a point, to an academic point, we also have Lodrag Khenchen. Is it Leiki Dorje? The teacher who was the Lama who was a teacher to Tsongkhapa, the one who originally called Tsongkhapa a Manjushri emanation. And then Tsongkhapa in return referred to Lodrag Khenchen as a Vajrapani emanation. So Lodrag Khenchen has many, many revealed treasure teachings on Vajrapani, but also Achala. And so these need to be looked at as well, just as a point of comparison, just to help contextualize, and so as not to leave anything undone or leaving anything out. So that's really it at this point. So for Nyingma tradition, we have 9 paintings at this time, and that's a beginning. It's a start, and we know we have some textual traditions to look at. Now, why don't we have more Vajrapanis in the Nyingma tradition and as terma? Well, maybe possibly it's because of the emphasis on Padmasambhava. Padmasambhava is the sort of the Nirmanakaya manifestation of realization and a kind of an emanation of Avalokiteshvara, and that Avalokiteshvara is coming out of Amitabha Buddha. So maybe the emphasis is far more on Avalokiteshvara, and Avalokiteshvara's wrathful sort of counterpart or bodyguard or attendant that you would bring forward for protection or for removing obstacles is Hayagriva, not Vajrapani. Vajrapani is associated more with the Akshobhya family, the Vajra family. Hayagriva is associated with the Lotus family, so that's Padmasambhava, Avalokiteshvara, and Amitabha. So I'm just offering that as a possibility why we don't see more Vajrapani within the terma traditions of Nyingma. That's all. So we'll leave it there. You can press like, you can subscribe, you can join HAR on Patreon, and you can also make a donation on the homepage of Himalayan Art Resources.